Last time on Dice Fall and Everyone Dies. As you walk into the room, this plain rectangular room contains several empty chests, old wooden tables, and mostly barren shelves. It seems like it may have been once used for a vault or records room, but today there's only a few scraps of paper that seem to remain. But one is noticeably set out on the table in front, almost prominently displayed.
Stana wants to go look at it immediately. She's going to be tapping to it.
So Taffy's going to look up at Ronaldi. Do you think they're still there?
Maybe they were there in force, but there's a tribe of elves who lives that area, and they've been, from my understanding, guarding that spot for some time. It's hard to tell. You might have to go in fully prepared for that one. If you can get it working. You can get it working, can't you, Miss Taffy? Welcome back to Dice Fall and Everyone Dies. I'm your GM Chris, and today let's talk about campaign management. There are many ways to run a roleplay group. Maybe your table enjoys quirky one-shots. Your table may enjoy highly political drama and suspense. Do you happen to have a grog who loves to smash? And there is nary an NPC safe from his gigantic warhammer. As long as your whole table is having fun, there's really no wrong way to play or run a game. Sometimes, though, you can run into snags. Tabletop games at their core are still storytelling and entertainment. Sometimes it is a cool movie adventure or the spooky mystery. But other times it's Game of Thrones with hopefully a better Season 8. And as games stretch out over weeks and months, sometimes the game master needs to make a continuity check. Should the seasons have changed when their party travels next? Is it time to tick down the doom clock in some ominous way? These become issues when you try to keep a living world active for your players. And mad props to all of the world-building game masters out there who love to build worlds and calendars and peoples and languages. Like, I have enough trouble keeping 2 fistfuls of NPC voices in my head. I can't imagine laying out full and unique cultures just to have my players go grog the murder hobo on them. Keeping track of that kill count, though, is one aspect of actually managing your table's campaign, but really that's just the beginning. When your characters decide to not kill each other after that initial bar fight in that conspicuously obvious plot device of a tavern, someone has to keep track of the antics that follow. That means notes and game prep and freshman year psychology applied to some power fantasy wish fulfillment and so many notebooks. Now, you might notice, I'm not telling you how to actually manage a campaign, and that's because while there are tools and styles and tips galore, the answer is whatever works best for the game master to facilitate their players. Here's what works for me, though. I keep several notebooks for recording session notes and planning addendums for encounters. On the computer, I tend to keep saved scripts and raw files as well as references of all sorts. And I also cheat hardcore by using the adventure paths as the base. In those pages, I have history, lore, encounters, timetables, and everything I need to run the adventure. This allows me to spend my time customizing it and the various details for the party specifically. If I run Age of Ashes again, I can guarantee it will not turn out the same. And when planning my own worlds, I use published material as a broad guide of what I should think about when and what I should write down. I will have a notebook about the cosmology and the planes and written segments for countries and adventures. Most of this material is written down so that I can then keep it in my mind. The reason I run published material, though, is that when I try to run my own homebrew games, I tend to railroad my players into whatever plot I've got conceived. And for every listener who has had that happen to them, it's not fun for very long. But if my players want to go romp around Cheliax and lead a bloody rebellion against House Thrune, sure thing. I didn't spend hours crafting their family history to have a level 15 rogue go around and stabbing everything. And with published material, I can remove my ego and play out the consequences, like a much less vengeful god protecting their dear darling creation. That part is really what makes the game belong to the players. Who lives and dies is not influenced by my hand so much as it's driven by the players. They are why we have Warble, Alec, Pib, Zarf, Winthrop, Calmont, Ubek, Yolecha, Yoltosha, Roxy, Greta, and oh my god, they're all living in my head. Yes, that's right, mortal. They live in your head now, and in the hearts of everyone who listens. Come, you've already given your soul to me for these buttons. What more is just a little headspace? Oh, and you, dear listener, if you wish to lighten this man's burden, you can always cheer him on with those ratings and comments on your platform of choice. It will help all of these townsfolk live for a tiny bit in your mind and keep your GM from going all Calmont, Well, too soon anyway. He has to run out of that 2.5 petabytes of storage space first. Oh, and he's running low. Oh, and he has to watch all of those silly dances on TikTok so he can figure out how my goblins dance. And whoever thought of calling your young people resumers is a... Damn it, Medvic. This is a monologue, not a dialogue. I will show you dialogue. Dear listener, go on ahead. I have some lessons to teach. No, Medvic, this is my brain, and you just can't go off it. Welcome back to Dice Fall and Everyone Dies. We have just completed the first book of Age of Ashes through all of that material, and we are entering into a different segment in between books 1 and 2, and I am excited to see what we'll do with everyone. We'll be following a modification to how we've normally been doing the adventure path stuff, and I'm excited to see how everyone's doing today. So Sid, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
And Shay, how are we?
Well, PaizoCon 2.0 is coming up, so concurrent. I'm excited.
Excellent. And Jules?
Jules is good.
Excellent. Do we have Jules properly caffeinated today?
Drank an entire thing of Dunkin' Donuts coffee and now I have a monster. I think I'm good.
And then how is Zach doing?
He's good.
What's
Awesome.
with the third person, y'all?
I don't know.
When we last left off, y'all had just finished doing your camp in the area right before heading down towards Alceta's Ring, dealing with some mushrooms, and then getting down there and finally clearing out the last of the cultists. Not necessarily knowing that
Except one.
True. And one of them did end up running down a hall, but Ubak, having now basically cut off part of his tail and given himself a new scar on the back of his head, is Taffy's friend.
Just don't expect him to fight for us, because that would be a disaster.
Yeah, if he's fighting for you, then all of a sudden he's critically failing on throwing a rock. He might bean one of y'all back in the head.
Oh, God.
And then while y'all were exploring the ring, y'all realized that the Door Guardian was as much an answering service as long as you happen to have the holy symbol of Alceta with you. And you made your way into the deepest vault of Citadel All-Terrain and located the deed to the Citadel.
I think my favorite thing about that whole interaction was just being able to play Stano as that one noble and just holding her hand up to this enormous fucking door warden. Just like, stop talking.
And with the deed in your hand, y'all find yourselves having gone now literally top to bottom over the Citadel itself, faced with these mystical gates in this ring around a dried fountain.
I do have a question.
Yes.
Maybe I missed it. So we entered these caves through like the forest.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get to the Citadel? Are there stairs somewhere that we missed?
So
I remember there was like some stairs that were blocked.
right,
But I
so
don't know.
the Citadel, you believe, connects through this stairway that you see is covered in rubble
Yeah.
that goes north. Now, when y'all were entering into the caves in pursuit of Vaz, Vaz was operating under the presumption and pseudo-confirmed information that the cave system linked down to Alceta's Ring itself.
Mm-hmm.
And Vaz went through and did a lot of the early exploration, and that's when y'all were coming across all the various vermin corpses and her exploration, and saw that the cave system was a very large and diverse cave system. It went out in a lot of different branches. And y'all basically followed up through Vaz's trail up to the entrance to where the hunting spiders were.
Okay.
And then y'all went from that area where the hunting spiders were, dealt with Raldar, dealt with, the Gloomshrow mushrooms. And then from there was another 20-foot drop down.
Mm-hmm.
So the general descent that you got from the cave was kind of going from ground level down through the first basement. And then you were on that same level as the first basement until you dropped down through the hole that existed there. And when you were examining the hole, you did notice that looked like they were like burn melts that basically made that area glass. Which, as y'all were trying to get up to be able to exit that cave system because you couldn't go up the stairs, you knew exactly how difficult it was to be able to get up there.
Mm-hmm.
Because unless you had Renali's ability to climb, you weren't going to be able to get up there no matter how good you were on climbing. So it's a good thing that y'all left the rope there. Otherwise, that was going to get real savage real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so the biggest part for knowing that cave system was connected was because Vaz had done a ton of that research beforehand. And she was trying to get there before essentially anyone else at that point in time. When y'all were going through her notes, y'all didn't see anything that seemed to have connected her directly with the cultists. So they may have been competing entities for claim on that space. Just that those cultists happen to have a couple Growlodons and they don't fit well upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've had a little bit of time since our last session. Have y'all figured out how y'all want to deal with the ownership of your very own keep? You have your own base now. What do y'all want to do as a party?
Well, I know we discussed making all the repairs.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess just turning it into a nice kind of hub of stuff.
Getting the stairs fixed up, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
so that we
handled that.
So the...
Caslin would like some pillows.
Kessin wants to definitely make sure there's some pillows in there.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all want to have it under one person's type of ownership? Do y'all want to have it under shared ownership for the party?
I think maybe this is a good time to evaluate the party itself, because up until this point, it was just sort of like a de facto group of people.
Yeah.
I think maybe we should establish ourselves if that's what we're going to do.
Like as a group? Like as a professional adventuring party?
Maybe. I mean, if we have a base, maybe it's a good idea to do that. I don't know.
You want to go ahead and make it official? Should we give the party a name? I would love to have a name for the party. I just keep having to call y'all the party on all the things.
Party is Stano's bitches.
I don't think that's going to work.
No?
No.
No?
So if y'all were going to name y'all's group, what would you call it?
Why are y'all looking at me?
The revelry.
The Revelry? All about them parties, the Revelry?
Oh, I don't know. Unless somebody else has an idea.
Stano likes a nice party.
Yeah, parties are good.
That would explain why you keep around beatboxing kobolds.
It would.
Oh, man. So does that make the individuals the Revels?
Ooh.
Revelers.
Ooh. That V could get turned into a B real fast.
I know!
We could call ourselves the Reckoning, and we'd be the Wreckers.
That's an option.
That's not terrible.
Ain't great either, but
Oh,
Hey!
I'm not suggesting anything.
I kind of like it better than the revelry, to be
The
honest.
Reckoning.
It sounds just like something that Stano would be like, we are the Reckoning. No, wait, that's not her voice. We are the Reckoning. And like, so like full of herself that she would be like, we are your Reckoning. We are the end of your fate right here.
We're going to have this discussion right here, right now. Like, you want to talk about like a noble that's full of themselves. It has to make like cocky little statements every single time they do something. Let's talk about Deimos. Let's talk about
excuse you.
I think Stano for noble is actually quite reserved.
Is that what you're calling it?
It's because she's not actually stuck up. She's actually just very shy.
Alright, so we're thinking of the party being called The Reckoning,
Mm-hmm.
and the sub-members being
The Wreckers.
the Wreckers, or Wreckers. Not the Wreckers, but Wreckers. And I just want to make sure that's what we want to roll with, because I'm going to put that down, and I'm going to write it everywhere.
Yeah.
That's fine.
This is not as noble as our title was in Mummy's Mask.
The Society of...
Sight and Sword.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Aw, I miss the writing.
How do you want to spell Reckoning?
Like it.
Reckon.
What if you spelled it with a W?
No.
We're not 12.
No, because somebody would try to do that and Stana would go over and very firmly mark it out. That's not how you spell reckoning.
Taffy would yell, "I'm gonna wreck it!"
And that's how the goblins took on the name Wreckers.
Oh no. I love them.
And it works well because they are the Bramble Basher tribe. Brashing Wreckers.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, this does mean now that Pib and Zarf are going to consider themselves the Wrecking Ball.
Oh god.
Do they have those in that time? I don't think they would.
No.
Not in the same fashion. It likely wouldn't be called a Wrecking Ball. It'd just be a
No.
trebuchet.
The Morning Stars.
That's a trebuchet.
It's a trebuchet. All right, so now the Reckoning has claimed Citadel All-Terrain. Do y'all want to leave it named Citadel All-Terrain?
I mean, it's a perfectly good
We
name.
could call it the Citadel Fuck You Vaz.
Citadel, fuck you.
No.
Just get to the map. Every time they have to update a Chilaxian map, they have to just continuously write, fuck you.
That damn Salisfer girl.
So y'all want to keep the name All-Terrain?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
like Citadel All-Terrain. Because
Can't
that's all
spell it
anybody's
worth
ever going to
shit,
call
but-
it.
I can't spell it worth crap, but yeah.
That's all anybody's ever going to call it is Citadel All-Terrain.
Excellent.
Even if we change the name.
Awesome. So we've gone through the minutia of the timelines for everything getting set and done for the Citadel as far as it comes to upkeep. And the Bramble Bashers have they have volunteered assistance to be able to help clear out the Citadel. Now, the question that they do have for y'all is, with everything getting cleared out, where is the best space for their village at this point? Because y'all have enabled them for a few options. With Warble's work in town, they could attempt to integrate the tribe into the town. They could, if under y'all's graces and guidance, take up residence back in the Citadel, but they are just as happy to take up residence around the surrounding forests. They don't know about the cave system, but y'all did find former goblin habitation in the cave system as well.
So I want them to live wherever they would be comfortable, but I think Stana would make it very clear to them that they have the option to live in the Citadel.
Right. So they very much appreciate that. So it's if you want it to be their choice, I'm going to roll a d4 and they will pick one.
Okay.
But if y'all have a preference, y'all can make a preference on that.
Although it would be really useful to have them, like, mounting, like, a guarded defense. Like, keeping an eye on the guard towers and such.
Right. So if they, so one of the things is that where they have their village does not necessarily mean that they won't be able to help and interact with the keep. It just is, it'll be the space where the village itself is located.
How many of them are left?
So when you start bringing together the tribes of the area that are under the Bramble Basher name, most of them were divided out between the forest and using the Citadel as the village hub. And so when you were getting down there, they used that basement floor, that northern wing. Those 3 rooms were primarily where they had a set of villages being, but it was the space where you would have the equivalent of like some of the tribe administration taking care of the young ones. You know, it was that part of the Citadel was treated like a nucleus, and then you'd have satellites around where you'd have scouts, small places where they do fishing and hunting, and you'd have the tribe distributed out around there because they couldn't guarantee the whole tribe within just a few rooms that were there. Yeah, even with the rooms being large enough, there's, you get into a problem with sanitation and cleanliness, even by goblin standards at that point, right? They can put up with a lot, but with enough pressure from Warble, they're just like, hey, look, a few things get better when all of a sudden you take more baths. It's fine.
I love them.
And so they kind of distribute it out. So when we begin looking at like the size of the village, we're looking at probably a solid anywhere from, you think, a population of about 30 to 50, even after everything that happened with the warg, because the ones who were there were the tight-knit group of not, the balance of younglings and caretakers and a few of the guards that were there. So now there are, when we start looking at it from a game mechanic wise, where they have their village location is going to influence the kind of style of their living style, as well as what type of benefits that they will be able to pull from the land that's there. And also part of kind of what they'd be able to do for the party, right? So if they were advised to go into like the cave system, well, that's kind of your rear guard, right? Because you don't know what could be coming from that cave system down into Alceta's ring at any point in time. Next thing you know, a gelatinous cube could decide that it's going to be like doop, 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 boop, And it could be how the first gelatinous cube that y'all fought ended up getting into the keep there, right? It just fell down the hole and then decided it was going to wander up the stairs while they were still clear that one time.
How fast do cubes move?
I believe they move they have a speed of 10 feet. So in a full round, they can move 30 feet.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, they don't move near as fast as people, but they move fast enough.
Okay.
So the caves could be one option, right? But then you could also think the forest itself. Y'all do know that things like wargs and the like occupy the forest, and the goblins can serve as an early warning system of anything big coming from the outside.
I think Jules is
coming
against
in.
that one.
No.
Yeah, they're not
We
really
already-
good at that.
Yeah, they're...
We already have experience with that one. We're not doing it again.
And then if they're in the Citadel, they could easily serve as in-house guards for the Citadel itself and help with a lot of the mundane things around the keep. But if they're in the town, they can end up being able to help bolster the town, maybe bring another set of experiences, maybe get a little bit more give and take with the cultural exchange that's happening in town, and maybe broaden up and bring new ideas to that area.
So I think the best option would either be the keep or the town. Yeah. So if we want to do a coin flip.
I think I like the keep better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do y'all want to let them have those same rooms that they had before?
What rooms
They
do
could
have
probably
before?
expand out a little bit if they wanted to.
Yeah.
The whole basement, we don't need the
It's
basement. Right?
It's a huge fucking citadel. They can do what they want.
Yeah.
So y'all want to give them run of including the burial area?
Ooh, no. No.
So the northern half of the first basement?
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as they're cool with it.
So here's the benefit that's going to come from that. So with them being in the Citadel and how y'all are kind of generally arrayed as a party, this will incline the Bramble Bashers to be training as fighters, wizards, and bards across their abilities. It's not going to be like the very first generation of materials, but between Demos playing on the lyre, a couple beatboxing kobolds, and as well as a wizard, Alex tutelage and Stanis tutelage, those are kind of going to be the ways that they end up seeing forward as methods of martial prowess that's there.
Like it's some Goblin Hell Knights.
If you wanted
The Gobclaw.
the Gobclaw, I have to write that down. The Gobclaw.
You don't. It's already a joke. That's a shout out.
Where's that one from?
I'm not telling you. I know somebody with a really great Pathfinder Society character who's a Hell Knight Goblin.
Does he call his crew the Gobclaw?
It's a great name.
That is a great name. Are they lawful on top of it?
So anyway, the Citadel.
All right. So y'all are going to be entering into a set of downtime. And downtime, we've done a little bit of encounter mode. We've done a little bit of a good chunk of combat. And so most of our gameplay has been this mix of encounter mode and combat. But y'all finally have downtime. This means that the predominant amount of threats that would typically force y'all into a violent encounter are not something that could be minute to minute, hour to hour, or even kind of day to day. Y'all are entering into a section of time to where y'all can kind of begin relaxing, figuring out the things that you want to do. And we've done a few discussions on what we want to have going on. But I want to go ahead and get some input from y'all on some of a couple of your characters' goals throughout the time. And I'll just go ahead and start from the left side and kind of move around. So, Sid, what is Taffy's goal over the next few weeks?
She wants to investigate the gates, I guess, and Alcetta's ring. She would like to retrain because she's decided that she does not want to pursue the necromantic arts.
No Lichdome.
No Lichdome. And she wants to take a break with just her and Wimble and maybe her new friend.
Ubuk.
Yes.
You have so many friends, Taffy.
I know.
You got the dog, Wimble, Uvok.
I worked on training Luna.
Excellent.
She's going to take Luna with her wherever she goes.
All right. Steno. What is Steno's goal over the next several weeks?
So Stano's been administrating. We know that she also, is working on rebuilding the Citadel. She really wants to get it up and going into a properly working hub, basically. Kind of for a base of operations for everybody. She also wants to work on getting some stuff crafted because she does have that alchemy ability. And I believe we already discussed that she was going to try and reach out not only to her parents and her siblings, she wanted to reach out to her estate and see if her head of staff would be willing to come out and help out.
Excellent. And what are some of Damos's goals?
He doesn't have a lot of goals, but I know I wanted him to. He wants to be able to bring in money for the Citadel by playing his instrument.
In his booty shorts.
And his booty shorts.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, working, more or less. I would like to see him try to find someone cute, but...
Okay, and...
Summer fling.
Kazalin. What are some of Kazalin's goals over the next few weeks?
He's going to try to establish the Bellflower network here in Breach Hill, and he's going to be looking for, at least he's going to keep an eye out for a dueling sword.
A dueling sword. So is this a specific item, or one that would be, or just any type of sword that's like dedicated for dueling itself? So for the dueling sword itself, do you want to see if one's going to be imported, or do you potentially want to have one of those crafted up for you?
Crafted up if possible.
Ooh, fun. Nice little personalization going on there.
Mm-hmm.
So before, the plan that we'll have for these bits is what we're going to do is we're going to do one-on-one sessions where we interact for those goals for everyone. And so that during the period of time that y'all are going to be getting the keep up and running, and before we begin interacting with the portals themselves directly, we want to make sure that everyone has time to take care of these individual goals and getting into Breach Hill. But as a group, y'all have one issue to deal with before we break off into that. And the big issue at this point is, what do y'all want to do with Alec? Because Alec, as a Merelictor, has duties unless something else comes up.
I mean, I know what Stano wants to do with Alec, but...
And Taffy.
And Deimos.
So as y'all are getting back from the Citadel, beginning to make your plans, coming up back through the caverns, being on guard, finally getting to the opening of the caves, and getting back into the clearing where it's been burned out, catching up for your horses, being thankful that Tixatog didn't decide to go out and get a horse snack in the process. Y'all are able to recover your mounts, and on the long ride back to town, y'all see that Alec is fairly pensive, kind of a bit lost in thought, really trying to kind of process the experience over the last week or so. And he's just kind of, he's kind of looking off, and he's not generally keeping eye contact with anyone.
Alec!
Yes, Lady Taffy.
Will you stay with us?
What do you mean? I'm here with you now.
I know, but now that we conquered the keep, do you want to stay with us?
Goodness, I'm not quite sure if I can.
What do you mean? You're welcome to. We could use your intelligence and help.
It's been far more than a lark. It's been absolutely, it's a unique experience traveling and fighting alongside each of you, but I still have my Merelictor duties.
What do those duties entail?
Typically, training, making sure that the needs of Citadel Vraid are properly taken care of. I'm presently on leave. I mean, I'd likely have to leave the Order unless I could find a particular reason to be in this area.
Well, we do still have plenty of your family's artifacts. I'm sure the Order of the Nail would like to have them.
What are you thinking?
It's not unusual for a member of a Hell Knight Order to assist a noble house with obtaining and protecting certain artifacts. Certainly these are historical artifacts that need protection.
Interesting. But they're also personal family artifacts. It's not as though I'm claiming the keep. I can't claim it as my own lands to be away. If anything, they would basically send a writ in a couple months to have me gather up the artifacts and ship them over with a small stipend. You need something a little bit stronger than that. If I were but a mere recruit, they would just have taken me for dead on a vacation. I think they expect me to come back alive.
Oftentimes people expect you to come back alive from vacation.
I'm sometimes surprised that they approved my attempt for leave. I wonder if he even wanted me to come back.
You could always stay as Seneschal. You could stay with us here.
A Hell Knight Seneschal of a former keep,
You would know a a lot about what we would find, potentially, and the best way to restore it. And you'd be serving a Chilaxian family, who is also an aspiring Hell Knight,
That is not a terrible idea.
and
But
potentially overseeing her training.
I am very good at the training aspect of the Hell Knight Order, but I am not necessarily the best when it comes to dealing with words and adhering to all of their protocols. They more or less relied on me to make sure that I could take a hit from a devil and then lop its head off. I would need some assistance in doing so.
Absolutely, I can definitely help you with that. I know how to write for Hell Knights. I've done it certainly enough.
Well, then that's the case with your assistance. We should be able to send off a missive, though, for it to get up to Vraid. Oh goodness, I think the time it would take for that is, even if you did it.
How much is it to sell or send things magically?
Well, first you'd have to have someone capable of casting it. I mean, it's a little bit more than just like a standard message.
We might be able to discuss it with Trina.
But if there's magic that could do it, that would be expedient.
Are there signifiers up there at Braid?
There's probably several on staff, though I have been...
Oh, it is Corvo, so there's probably a million wizards around.
Generally, they would be likely ingratiating themselves.
Do they typically recruit from the Academy or from Thumanexus?
I'm not going to lie, Steno. I was typically doing push-ups.
We can tell.
Taffy!
She's not wrong.
Well, Taffy, here. He pulls out his sword. Hold this for a moment.
I can't. We all know I can't.
I'm going to make her fall over
I mean, you probably could.
with a lot of effort.
The only one, and as he's holding this great sword out, one-handed by the pommel itself. So, to understand, this is... When you're looking at a greatsword, you're typically looking at a sword that is weighing greater than 7 pounds. And
How much does Taffy weigh?
35?
Okay.
So this thing is easily about a third of her
A fifth
body
of her
weight.
weight.
Yeah.
And well, and the other aspect about it, even when you have a sword that's pretty well balanced, he's holding it by where the pommel's at, so he's not up where the balance of the sword weight is. He has it out by the pommel just to kind of make the point that's there.
She didn't need him to make a point, but
Alec.
she's appreciative.
Here's why I don't understand your full point. And Sano's gonna basically pull out and do the same thing. I can do the same thing and write letters.
You both are very strong, and it's very nice.
What?
You have nice arms.
Deimos, do you have a thing for well-defined muscles?
I do.
I keep getting this feeling that...
Hmm.
How perceptive is he?
How much of everyone have you seen?
Of everyone, very little. Of specific people, probably a little bit more. I've obviously seen plenty of you.
Well, you did help me with my armor that one time.
Yes, exactly. There's one other person I've seen about that much. Oh.
Only one.
It's not
Only
Caslin,
one.
is it?
No. No!
I think Bread looks very nice.
Brett is
Thank
a
you,
handsome
Taffy.
man.
I
I don't
do
want to
look
see
really
that
nice.
much.
I think Caslin has the ability to clean up very well.
It might take some time. Anyway.
I don't think Caslin would fit in very well at an Agorian ball, but I think he'd clean up well.
Yeah.
I spent some time at soirees in my youth.
Oh yes, in Corvosa.
What's your point?
It's Corvosa.
Have you ever been to a Korean?
Have you?
My dad has.
Oh, your dad has. Did he
Did
bring you back a postcard or a T-shirt?
Can I
Says
smack
my
him?
dad went to Agoria, and the only thing I got was this lousy T-shirt.
Can I do an unarmed strike on this man, just like right in the side?
You can. You can
can
go ahead and
try.
roll that attack. It's a question whether or not
you
you'll
want to
hit
use
that
my
AC.
good die?
One.
Okay, never mind. Give that back.
It's just like tries to smack him and whips right by.
Well, it's one of those things. If you hit his leather, but you happen to hit like the stud on his leather, and you
Oh.
and you like wrap your knuckle right across there, and you've got this small split on your knuckle at this point.
Ow.
Demos, we don't keep you around for hitting things.
Why don't you go soothe yourself in a corner over there?
You should be very careful with those delicate hands.
Coming after you guys, when I swear to God.
What are you gonna do? Smother him in his sleep?
I might.
Smother me with those booty shorts.
I could use the booty shorts.
This is a highly inappropriate conversation.
I didn't say they'd be on my butt.
So
That'd
are
be
you
giving
saying
him
that
too
you
much.
would attack Caslin naked with your booty shorts?
Why do I have to be naked?
I
Well,
can't
what else would
imagine.
you be wearing?
I can't imagine
I
the
have
last
other
thing.
pants.
The last thing I see is the word juicy in Helvetica coming right at my face.
That would be.
It would not be the most unusual way a Corvosan has died.
That is not how I'd like to see my reckoning.
Are you sure?
He absolutely just doesn't get it. But what I was going to ask, Demos, you seemed standoffish when we first met. Why was that?
And I'm not big on Hell Knight.
I thought it was because Stano had taken an interest in my own rippling muscles.
They are very nice, but no, that wasn't the reason. Well, I mean, her being interested probably didn't help.
Oh, I
Stanos-
thought you were her vassal. Were you her lover?
No, absolutely not. Never.
The fairy, though.
Never in a million years.
Oh, y'all came up on the boat ferry. That is such a long way to travel.
Yeah.
Were y'all confined to the same room for 3
No,
weeks?
absolutely not. I had my
No,
own
we had
room.
different rooms.
So was it just a tryst?
They
What are you talking about?
seeked each other out.
How dare you? What are you insinuating?
the night.
I mean,
What are you insinuating?
It's two star-crossed
do you not
lovers
remember?
passing
you
by.
did have a lot to drink that
I
night.
swear to his face.
You did
She's
have.
going to pull her horse 3 feet ahead and not talk to anybody.
I guess a tryst is the biggest word I can say.
It's not a very big word.
Well,
The
y'all
best
had been
word.
sharing rooms, so...
Yeah.
Wait, so Alex thought Danos was her vassal?
Well, yes, why else would a man be sharing the same room as his lady? Likely he would just be sleeping on the floor.
Oh no, we were.
Oh.
If they were sharing the
sharing
same
a
bed, then that would
Helen.
imply being lovers.
Not with the barrier she puts it.
There are plenty of other barriers I could have put through you.
I think that means she would ram her shield up your ass.
Yeah.
But I've never seen her with a shield, so...
I
Would
own
it be-
one. I just left it in Westpool.
So would it be Castellan's shield up his...
I don't have a
ass?
shield.
I thought you had a shield. Not a buckler or anything like that?
Nope.
Oh, goodness.
I could
No
travel
wonder
to
that
West.
hurt so badly.
I could travel to Westpool and get it. I left in kind of a hurry, but
Why would you have left in a hurry?
personal reasons.
Hmm.
Most likely at this point, I'd shove my sword up your ass.
Don't do that.
Damos the corn dog.
What's a corn dog?
What?
What?
Canon. Caslin invented corn dogs.
No, I mean,
The dog, you wrap it in a thing of
Grab it
corn.
corn.
is this a hound that guards a field? Why would you put a sword in a hound like that?
It's been a bad dog.
Oh,
What?
What?
okay.
On to a new topic of conversation.
Should we be worried for Greaves and Luna in discipline?
Absolutely not.
No, Stano knows what she's doing.
What are y'all planning to do with them?
Train them up.
Luna's gonna be my best friend.
Huh. Well, I mean, they are pups. Suppose that could be that whole nature versus nurture thing.
I'm used to training hounds. Shouldn't be too difficult. Greaves is much more intelligent.
Sometimes that's the problem.
Nonsense.
Too smart for their own good.
Calvin, how many dogs have you trained?
Well, my family did raise prized hounds back in
Did
Corvosa.
they raise prized hounds?
Very prized.
Did they? What family is that?
All of the prizes.
What family is that?
The biggest family
No,
you've
tell me.
ever seen.
Come on. Are you Ilios' own?
They made a film of us.
You know,
Called The Family.
actually, I've had classes as a child with Iliosa,
I don't know what you're talking about.
the Queen of Corvosa.
I know who she is.
Yeah.
But I also think you're a lying piece of crap.
Why? She's from Agorian.
Prove it.
That she's from Agorian?
Prove your history of class making time.
I can recite my family back 42 generations.
I don't care.
We all kind of made fun of her when she married the King of Corvosa.
Yeah, and then they sent Hell Knights out to go assist.
That is unfortunate.
How on earth are we going to phrase this letter? In any case, what am I going to do as Seneschal? That whole keep is going to need to be cleaned from top to bottom.
Oh, yes.
Oh goodness, it would probably take days.
Don't worry. Oh, it'll definitely take more than days. It'll probably take weeks.
So, and the stairs. That courtyard was a shamble. And then there's the battlements themselves, and the walls. This thing is going to take a large degree of gold to be able to fix.
Yes.
how are we going to split that cost?
Taffy's gonna toss over her gold pouch with all her earnings in it.
We have our earnings. As well, I am contacting my family to have my restoration fund shifted over to here. With any hope that it should be here within a month or so.
Do you have someone that you trust to have that much gold come?
Yes, my head of staff. I'll be writing her immediately.
Will she have an armament in a caravan?
Yes, she'll have permission to pull directly from the fund in order to obtain her travel over. I trust her innately.
How much are we talking here?
Hmm?
Well, they come with a fund, right? So typically you wouldn't want to travel with a large degree of cash that couldn't be readily hidden.
Of course.
So how much are we speaking? I mean, well, I suppose, who's your retainer?
That would be her.
I seem to misspeak. Is your retainer formidable? Can they guard that which they will be carrying?
Ah, she'll have a guard with her. I have a guard for my estate. She should be establishing travel for herself with the guard.
Well, hopefully they make it well and in time.
There should be no issue. All she really has to do is establish the shutdown of the estate. Probably she's been about purchasing new slaves for the staffing, but most likely she'll be canceling
Purchasing
the
what?
new halflings for staffing. For winter.
He's just gonna ride further up. He's like, no, I'm not having this conversation.
Did I
with
misspeak?
anybody. Not talking.
Dorans.
Well, it is how things are done. It's not necessarily how they have to be done, but
Typically my estate is the one that we winter in, because it's on the lake. However, I'll have her be shutting that down, so... It's mostly just the closing of the estate, probably establishing that I'll be spending time with a different person.
well, we are already at the towards the middle of Rova. I suppose if things get here and done in time, we should be able to keep everything flowing up through and Coffin. It is going to get near unbearably cold, but it shouldn't freeze over like it does in northern Varissia.
We're going to be here through Kuthon, aren't we?
Well, that keep is highly damaged.
Oh no. It's fine. It's fine.
So y'all begin doing y'all are pressing through the ride. Y'all get into town. The Pib and Zarf have been basically running around for the last couple days with Luna and Greaves. You can see that the four of them have basically become fast friends back and forth.
They're adorable and I love them.
From what you've been able to tell, it looks like Luna and Pib have basically pick on one side, and then you have Zarf and Greaves kind of doing on the other. And they end up doing the equivalent of like mock little scenarios back and forth, with Pib and Zarf just hard going at it. But then, one of them will disarm the other with a stick, and then all of a sudden you get Greaves and Luna playing tug of war back and forth with them. You're like, "Arr," just being very much puppies at this point in time. When y'all are able to get back, y'all also had a couple things that you wanted to take care of related to things in town. What things did y'all want to do together in town before we enter into some individual downtime? Is there anything that y'all wanted to handle as a group?
I believe we wanted to discuss pushing forward with the purchase of Voss' bookshop.
Yeah.
Okay. How would you like to go about doing that?
Probably talking with the council and basically establishing, like, look, we know that, like, what the hell is his name? Calmont. Calmont's not going to be up for any of this, but you do need more industry in town, and we can provide the wizarding option as well as an alchemical option for sales.
Okay, so that's something that you would bring up for a proposal. So for that, let's go ahead and condense that down a little bit into a society check to start with.
We should probably let Greta know about the cultists, that it was a threat.
Okay, which would you like to approach first?
Let's do Greta first, because maybe they'll be indebted to us.
Yeah.
As a further discount.
All right, so after
That's
y'all,
why we came here first.
so y'all get back, you set up some time with Greta. It's a bit towards the end of the day for the first time, but y'all are able to set up some time with her the following day, and so y'all are, from the time of which y'all started, it has been approximately 10 days since y'all came into Breach Hill. Y'all arrived at the 14th of Rova, had begun exploring the keep, and it's now, after the end of 10 days, y'all have been able to clear the keep top to bottom, found this cultist threat, and as you begin, organizing your thoughts, now, the morning of the 25th of Rova, the the letters are all getting properly sent out for where they need to go, and you come up into Greta's office, and y'all are wanting to kind of really bring this kind of cultist threat to a good description. And of course, she's open to have y'all come in, describe everything that's going on. What do y'all want to tell Greta about the situation? How do y'all want to frame this?
So we know that there's still a cult on the other side. And we also know we're going to be trying to fix the ring. Do we want to be open with Greta and tell her about the whole Alcetta's ring?
Do you?
Ooh, we do.
We trust Greta.
Greta, yes. What if, sorry, this is future planning me, what if we open those up for trade routes and just have us, like,
Oh, fuck, that's smart.
the-
Oh, fuck. That's a Mwangi trade right in the middle of fucking Aveston. Oh, fuck. Breach Hill just went from Podunk to Yodunk.
we should leverage that as part of negotiations for the
Yes. So
shop.
let's start up.
How shrewd of you.
She's a gnome.
Lots of ideas, little follow through.
Rude.
Because they're small, as Sid flips me the middle finger.
I mean, we could start up a counter how many times Sid flips you off in a session.
I do my best to get that to at least 5 every session.
Anyway, yeah, so we'll probably want to start with telling Greta basically a rundown of everything that's happened with the Citadel, and including the cults, as well as we know for a fact that we can connect it to the Mwangi and then turn it into a trade.
Alright, go ahead and give me a society.
Can I assist, since it was my
Yes.
plan? Or at least on the... I don't have a button, but I tossed you a
It's a
button.
28.
28?
Oh, didn't need my help anyway.
Well, my initial concern is you're saying that there is an active portal connecting Garund directly to our little town?
Not Garund, the Mwangi proper.
So there's a portal that is connecting jungle, and there's cultists coming through?
Not yet.
No.
We're working on fixing it, which then we'll move through it and eradicate the cult.
Did y'all bring Ubak with you?
Yes.
She looks at Ubak, and it's just the look that runs across her face is this mix of,
I realize this is not typical news you receive in a town council.
I understand that there's opportunity in being able to connect with a place so far away. Does he bite?
Excuse me?
Those are very sharp looking teeth.
Yes, he has the ability to do so.
He could if he wanted to, but so could I.
His incisors are bigger than yours.
The incisors are bigger than your nose.
Oh my goodness, they are.
Taffy, I'm just stating the truth.
So, as head of the council, my first concern is the safety of Breach Hill.
Mhm.
If young Ubak here, actually I'm about middle-aged, if Ubak here can be fully redeemed as you say, it still begs the question of his compatriots on the other side. How do we know that they won't just activate the portal again?
They can't.
It's
right
currently
now.
broken.
What if they repair it from their side?
I don't believe they can. I believe it's a one-way.
I believe the item that we need is in our possession to transfer between there and here and back.
Is there any chance that they may be able to bypass it? Could a
Arcana?
sufficiently strong enough magic be able to do so?
Arcana check?
Go for it.
32.
From what you understand of Arcana, the easy way to get a gate to properly open is with the key. But a sufficiently powerful enough wizard or a sufficiently skilled enough rogue could be able to override the systems that link the portals together. And once repaired, there is, though very remote, a highly skilled practitioner could open up the portal again.
But our side is broken as well.
Well, you know your side can be fixed,
Right,
but you
but
know that
when
there's
they
nothing
need to-
wrong with the gate itself.
Oh.
So you're not looking at like cracked gates, you're looking at there's something wrong with it. You know that it is unsafe to travel through it presently.
So it is possible, Greta, but highly improbable.
If we could get full confidence in the operation of this potential connection,
Mhm.
the town would be willing to compensate. Have y'all come up with a name
For the Citadel?
For our party.
for your group?
Oh.
We're a reckoning.
The
Like-
reckoning.
The reckoning.
Oh, ominous, but powerful.
I mean, Stano wants to be a Hell Knight. It's kind of in their MO.
And I shall be their seneschal. Very interesting. Well, if y'all can figure out what is going on with this Ayadara, as you've called it, and can properly secure it, we would definitely be willing to help compensate for it. Is there something in particular that y'all want, or will gold suffice?
We are wanting, we've brought this up before, in the purchasing and usage of Vaz's old shop. We are wanting to be able to establish that as a retail operation within town. Obviously, Taffy has the ability to produce scrolls that would be more convenient for the townspeople, and though Treenil obviously is quite talented as a wizard, she is very, very busy. As well, I also have an alchemical history, and I did notice a lack of alchemy shops around.
I think that we could probably come to an understanding, Lady Demal. If we can get this issue with security handled with this Ayadara to the Mwangi, then I believe the council could speed up the transition of ownership of this area, as we've seen little improvement in Calmont. He has been brought over to the Desnans. His dreams have been terrible from my understanding. He is under their care.
Complete sentences yet?
Not eloquent ones. Oh no, please help me. He is coming after me. Medvik demands his buttons are technically complete sentences, but we have no idea who this Medvik character is.
I don't know.
So he is still ranting.
Perhaps a god that we don't know about, or a demon. How far are we out from the world wound?
Oh, we are plenty of ways away from the world wound. Luckily, the Sarkor scar is taken care of, though you do have to pass through this Eye of Dread. We've been seeing a lot of movement coming through. Even we have heard all the way out here that there's plenty of arms and munitions heading up north into Lake Incarthen.
My question to DM.
Mm-hmm.
What other gates do we have access to?
So, you know that there are 5 gates that are intact in total. One of those, from what you can tell, is the one that is most aligned with the hunter's aspect of the Elven Pantheon.
But we don't know where any of them go yet, except for the Mwangi one.
Correct.
Was there a waspy one?
Yes, actually.
Oh no.
Well, because my thought was we could become an international trade hub using those other gates too.
You could make so much money.
10% of every caravan that comes through.
Money. You need a force to establish.
We have some.
Basically, you need to be able to force people who didn't want to pay you that amount.
I know.
My way or the highway.
Honestly, yeah. Like, it would be
You can deal with the Taldane Navy.
Yeah. Well, you can go through our portal, which will be much quicker.
Or you can face the Absalomi and Taldane Navy.
Or you can walk and ride and sail.
And 10% is really not that much. That's like
Not at all.
It's like a
Depends
sales
on how big of a
tax.
caravan you're bringing over.
Well, I mean, you know,
10% of a massive caravan, still only 10%, but...
Well, then who shall we be dealing with in our day-to-day operations with the keep?
I will handle that. I have an
Excellent, Lady
experience.
Demal. Well, then, I guess we find ourselves in business.
Fantastic.
And so, on that, we'll go ahead and we're going to move into one-on-one sessions with folks.
Oh, sorry, real quick before we move into this, as they're leaving Greta's area,
Yep.
Stano does want to kind of take Tabby aside and be like, I am writing to my parents to send one of my siblings over that has an experience with magic, and I didn't want you to think that I didn't think that you had the knowledge. I just thought they would be able to assist you.
Oh, I'm not insulted. More brilliance working together is perfect.
Fantastic. My sister is an expert in occultism, my brother is a diabolist, so whomever has the ability to come, most likely my brother.
Okay.
Okay. Basically, Stano didn't want Taffy to think that Stano didn't have trust in her abilities.
Excellent. So the way we're going to do the solo sessions is we're going to have one person in here, and then we'll vamoose everyone out, and I will mute everyone else's mic except for that one person. Then I will have, once we're done with them, I'll have them go out and then tell the next person who's going to come in.
Oh, secret.
Well, I want it to be personal for everyone. And so that way, if there's something that you want to have done that doesn't interact directly with a member of the party.
Secret DM sessions.
Yes. So I think the order we'll go ahead and go in is we'll start with Taffy, then we'll go Kazalin, Demos, and then we will round it out with Steno that's there. So, before we do so, is there anything that the party would like to do together before we break off into that?
Are there any further personal things that we need to ask Stano? Do y'all perhaps maybe want to ask her if she has any tattoos or piercings?
does she?
Does she?
Demos, does she have any tattoos or piercings?
He didn't see that much.
Was it Doc?
Yeah, kinda. It was a boat at night. But
Were there candles?
No.
Was it romantic?
No,
Why
no,
are you
not
doing
at all.
this?
Did you fall asleep in each other's arms to the rocking of the boat?
No, absolutely not.
No, I fell off the bed about midnight.
Is it like the story where Taffy told us where you fell off the bridge?
No,
off
she
the
didn't
bridge?
kick me off it.
Oh, she kicked you off the bridge.
Yes, she kicked me off the bridge.
I did not kick you off a bridge, but I did
She
throw you into
yeeted
the river.
him off the bridge.
I don't know what that means, Taffy.
What does yeet mean?
You know, when you're hungry, yeet.
That makes sense, but how do you eat off a bridge?
I threw him into the river in town because he would not leave me alone.
Oh,
Sometimes you just have to give a lady her space.
noted.
I don't take up much space.
You also were following me earlier that day.
I don't know what you're talking about. and
Taffy, I saw
how-
you.
how did
You
I
were
get-
whistling.
How did I get hurled in and she didn't?
She left before you.
I know when to quit. I mean, I wasn't following you.
And no, I have no markings and I have no piercings.
Yeah, pretty skin. Yada yada.
Shut up.
You do have a fair complexion.
Thank you.
So do you, Lady Taffy.
Aw, thank you.
Oh, Caslin, your complexion's not the same as theirs. It's more like that soft, trustworthy leather that makes sure that all your harnesses are kept on tight.
Are you
You always
saying
make sure that it is oiled properly and properly taken care
Are you
of.
saying he has an oily face?
No, it's the trustworthy stalwartness type of complexion. It's not a really great word for it.
He has too many freckles.
I don't have any freckles.
I don't know, that small mark there is almost like a, what do they call that? A beauty mark?
You know,
He's
Caslin,
got
in
a
Agorian,
beard,
they
you
they draw those on.
Oh, that just seems deceptive.
It's Agorian.
Ah, that is true.
Did you think that they would be straightforward right off the cusp?
I had hoped.
No. Have you ever spoken to a Chilaxian noble? That isn't me.
I believe technically yes, but again, I did a lot of push-ups.
You have spoken to the commander. I'm aware that you've spoken to the commander. He is very straightforward.
A lot of push-ups.
He is like that, yes.
And sit-ups.
He is like that.
And then there was the squats. And then the lunges.
The commander has
And then there was the pull-ups.
a fair opinion
And then there was the press workout.
of strong men.
And then there was the time that we would go through the obstacle course. Do you know how they have us do the obstacle course up there?
Naked.
Only if the
Not
commander built
quite
it.
exactly, but it's to toughen up our skin to the elements. We would end up being out typically in the not quite freezing, but just above freezing temperatures.
Shirtless?
Surely Commander Viral did not order this of you.
Specifically him, no, but they are brutal, because you never know when a devil will be coming at you with cold, or fire,
Or in the middle of
acid.
the night as you've gotten up.
all that. Yeah, there were a couple of recruits who weren't able to properly get into their uniforms in time, and they still had to go through the obstacle courses. They were quite humorous. Well, at least until they had to start dodging fire. And so, now, it's Daffy's turn. Scooch the rest of you.